The famous computer professor, Dr. Chuck, said a few years ago that big companies like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, etc., had basically solved all of their computing problems. And what he meant by that was that, Google had solved ad revenue, Microsoft had their operating system and Microsoft 365. They all had cloud compute and so forth and so forth, right? So all of their big issues they were working on to make money, to make revenue, to be the dominant market players was all solved effectively. Now, at the moment, you have AI, which is the big race for, Google, OpenAI, and whatever. So that's the current thing. But basically, what they set out to do, they solved their big things that they needed to do to make money and to dominate the market. Which got me thinking recently about Linux, right? Because if you think about Linux, Linux has been going, coming up to 40 years now, 36 years or so. And Linux has been a long, long journey, really, before a lot of the big companies in technology like Google and others, which has been a long journey to have this huge ecosystem of just about everything. And it made me think that basically, when you really think about it, Linux is feature complete now, right? Linux has done everything, can do everything. Really, there's no thing that any other operating system can do that Linux can't, right? So when you think of when Linux first started back in the very early 90s, it was, really just a kernel with some maybe user space tools and, of course, GNU/Linux, which is, the famous or infamous thing you should call Linux, GNU/Linux, because, the GNU core utilities particularly, and obviously GCC and all this, was so important for Linux becoming, part of, you could use it in a user space, right? And then if you think as the 90s wore on, you had the boom of the World Wide Web, right? And what happened? You got things like open source software like Apache, okay? You got the Apache web server, and then obviously we had that Nginx later. But the Apache web server was a huge thing because you could pair it up with Linux. You didn't have to spend any money, right? Because back then, Microsoft servers were, I think, cumbersome, expensive, and, it was a reliable way to have a web server. What was the stack called? I can't remember. The LAMP stack, right? Linux, Apache. Then you had like the M for MySQL, the database, and of course P for PHP, right? So you had the whole LAMP stack to have a website. This was the thing. This was one of the things that started to make Linux popular. And then, when you had the .com boom, everybody was putting .com on their websites. Linux was a huge part of the .com boom because that's what people were using for their infrastructure, okay? So Linux was already, becoming very important in the server space, which of course is huge, right? Now, it didn't take until really the later 90s that you started to get, window managers and, well, maybe you had window managers before because, of course, window managers have been around possibly longer than Linux, certainly on, BSD systems. But, of course, you started to get, the X server, the display server becoming more important. And then we started to get, desktops like the first one being KDE and then GNOME in the late 1990s. And, there were some others as well that were popular. So, Linux started to get the desktop. Now, obviously, the desktop for Linux wasn't quite there yet. It took time. It's taken a long time to develop, let's say, to become, par or equivalent to Mac and Windows. But then, in the mid 90s, big companies were using Linux for, all their infrastructure. Like Google. Ironically, we talk about the big tech, but they rely on Linux so much. And you've got the IoT devices. Of course, the mobile phones that start to come out. It all started off technically with things like the Nokia N900, I think it was. And then, of course, you got the big ones. I know Apple technically, I think, uses some BSD custom hybrid. And, of course, Android, right, which is built off Linux. So, Linux became, infrastructurally hugely important, used in so many IoT devices, so many small devices in a way that, Microsoft and others just couldn't. Now, I know, yes, BSD is kind of in this mix. Okay, so I'm not going to ignore BSD. And, free software was just on a march, really. Free software was starting to really, beat down the proprietary systems and, make a real impact. And, of course, Microsoft, for example, starts to adopt so much free software. controversially, and still controversially, I know, but Microsoft is effectively a Linux company now, right? This is the crazy thing. And as the 2000s developed, then the desktop environments became better, and then you start getting distributions, such as Ubuntu. Ubuntu was the first real big, I would say, market mover for the Linux desktop. It became, or the most iconic, right, early on, and it's still a big player now. And we've had so many, and then of course, Linux throughout the 2000s and 2010s, particularly the 2010s, was really trying to crack the desktop. Okay, the web as well, because we were having some issues with Microsoft and Internet Explorer, dominating the web for so long. It wasn't really until the Chrome engine came out, and that really started to make the web accessible for every operating system, the standardized thing, and it worked well on Linux. Back in the day, you had like crazy things like, was it Silverlight for viewing different types of media, such as, Microsoft Media. And, this was basically finally resolved in the late, I'd say early 2010s, really, that basically proprietary systems on the web were being broken down, and a lot more free software systems, particularly video encoding, meant Linux could use it, and others, of course. So, Linux started to win out on, the web, the user-facing web, and, nobody had a stranglehold on it anymore, particularly Microsoft. So, it was another big win, and where Linux, was really, a new feature that it got. And then when you think about in the last decade, of course, it's all been about gaming, right? Gaming and probably AI, which we'll get on into a second, but gaming for a lot of people was one of the final reasons why people wouldn't use the Linux desktop, okay? Because the Linux desktop basically worked, and you could use a window manager, you could use, GNOME, KDE, and others, but a lot of people wanted to play their games. And of course, when Steam came along and started to push, Linux compatibility layers for playing games that were built for basically Windows, it changed everything. And now, you've got most of the computer games that run on Windows playing better on Linux. Now, there's technically still a few issues with was it anti-cheat I keep hearing about at the kernel level, which obviously doesn't tend to be in Linux. But this kind of very minor things. So basically, gaming has been solved. I mean, the Steam Deck has been a huge success for Linux. The Steam machine is now coming out, which is again a huge one-up for Linux. And of course, they're all based on Arch Linux, which has become really the sensible default for building any kind of user interface on these systems with whatever they want to put on top. And so, Linux is really on the march now. And, even like audio is always controversial, has been solved now with Pipewire. Still, some people say, well, it's still not good enough. But basically, most of this stuff has been solved. And then we get onto AI, right? So AI, what is AI effectively run on, trained on, whatever? Linux, right? Linux dominates AI. Okay, so Linux is basically feature complete now. And another thing to say about the gaming actually is that the nice things about Steam is, all the compatibility layers, it meant that you can effectively now run just about any piece of Windows software, right? Any bit of Windows software you can basically run on Linux now because of the work done by Steam through Wine and Proton and all these different compatibility layers. Even like the graphics card situation where, infamously Linus gave the finger to NVIDIA because NVIDIA didn't want to make the effort to have good drivers for Linux. Well, that again has basically been solved now. NVIDIA drivers, I understand, are pretty good, and even the open source ones are. So again, great. And if you think about talking about it as compatibility layers, maybe the one last place where Linux is still playing catch up to a degree, but it's now kind of academic, is enterprise. Right now, I know you've got Red Hat and others, and enterprise is, of course, huge on Linux for certain other reasons. But let's say the desktop side, desktop facing software, now you can basically run any any Windows software on Linux. Is just no big deal. Even like Adobe, I think now there's ways to run Adobe Cloud why you'd want to. I guess some professionals need it. And, things like DaVinci Resolve and other, big video editors, they basically run on Linux now. And if they don't run perfectly, it's a problem that will be solved very soon. And then, yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? But that's basically telling you that Linux is feature complete, right? Even countries like Germany and France are ditching Windows to use the Linux desktop because they don't want to pay for licenses and overblown stuff because you don't need to. And you'll get a better desktop anyway. So, yeah, the irony is at the moment that most of the development in Linux, apart from maintenance and security, it's just superfluous. Most of the stuff that you hear about now when people talk about Linux development is just Rust rewrites. Yeah. Or some vibe coded project nobody cares about because Linux is feature complete. There's nothing really you can say anymore about Linux. Think about like some of the Linux YouTubers. I won't name any. I'm not name any because I'm not like giving them a hard time anyway. But there's a particularly famous Linux YouTuber at the moment who basically has nothing to say because like Wayland is feature complete now. Doesn't have much to say about Linux news because Linux is feature complete. It's done. Does that mean Linux won? I mean, its market share desktop-wise is still relatively small, but it won the server space. It won just about everything, IoT devices, and there's not a lot more it needs to do. It's just I guess you just to think and hope inevitably, maintenance-wise and the continued development of stuff means that it will become the number one in the near future. I don't know, but yeah, just made me think about that there's not a lot to say about Linux in a way anymore. It's done. The job is done. It's feature complete. Just use it. Servers, desktop, IoT devices, mobile phones, whatever. So yeah, that's it. That's all I want to say.